Everybody at, 4:09, we call this meeting to order. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We look forward to your input as well. So you don't have to just sit there quietly. You can come up and tell us what you think about these issues, very important issues that are on our docket today. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. Our call to order, we've done that. Audit Finance Committee, I want to welcome our subcommittee member. There he is right down there. Any comments? Why do you want to be here?
Excellent question. I do want to be here, but it is a great question because I think this is one of the ones where I feel like it's rolling up my sleeves and doing work that's tough, that's being of service. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is and dedicating my time the same way that I've given young professionals the advice to give back by looking for opportunities to serve on boards and committees, especially the tough ones. And I think this ranks among the tough ones.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
Yeah, although there's been a great deal of improvement, you'll be surprised. And together we can keep going forward, I'm sure. And our superintendent here, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Thank you, Chair Emerald. Welcome to this edition of our Audit and Finance Subcommittee. And again, I'd like to take an opportunity to welcome Member Alonzo Gonzalez, as well as recognize Mr. Dan Gutowski on his 12th anniversary of service here to our district. So thank you, Mr. Gutowski. And so with that,
Wonderful.
Those are my opening comments.
Wonderful, thank you so much. We also have time for public communications. If anybody has a comment you'd like to make on an issue that is posted for this meeting, please don't be shy, come on up.
There's no public comment at this time.
Okay, very good. But remember, we are very open to hearing from the public. And on dollars and cents issues, I know that a lot of people talk about how, government agencies spend money and all of that. I know that we've had a past, it's long past, but where there are concerns about money being spent or what your priorities are, please don't be shy about coming here and chatting with us about it. Share your thoughts, because we may not be in on that, and you stand an opportunity to educate us about what's happening out there in the community with our dollars and cents. So thank you so much. With that, items for discussion, I think that we're there. C, the election of a committee chair.
If I may, Member Solis, while he wasn't present, he did indicate his support for continuing with Chair Emerald.
Well, thank you very much, and I would accept that nomination because, I'm just starting to kind of get the groove of this thing, and I don't want to end it before I've, really taken charge of it. So, yeah, that would be terrific for me if that's okay by all of you.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, motion second. Ceci, can you please call roll?
Yes. Mr. Solis, absent. Ms. Emerald?
Yes.
Dr. Aguirre?
I don't get a vote on this matter.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mr. Gutowski?
Yes.
Thank you so very much. I'm honored. Let's go now to audits, item 2, and would that be Dr. Salkeld?
It would. So
No.
Dr. Salkeld, if she can introduce the presenters for this afternoon. I believe it's our partners from Crow LLP.
And thank you, welcome.
Dr. Salkeld?
Thank you, Dr. Aguirre, and thank you to the committee. Good afternoon. We do have Elizabeth Saff, who's the partner with Crow, along with her audit manager, Charles Rogley. They'll be presenting their client service plan for the upcoming audit for 25-26, because we're going to start that work here in the next few months. And so she'll highlight the scope of the work along with things that they look for, because we'll commence that starting probably around May timeframe with ASB and attendance audits, and that'll carry through into the summer and then eventually the fall when we bring to the committee a draft report for 25-26 in December.
We don't have sound.
Right now.
It's hot. All right. Well, thank you for having us. I'm Elizabeth Soff, partner with Crow. Charles Ribley, senior manager, helps support us. And this is where we kick off the planning communications for the external audit. Just as a reminder, we conduct 3 different portions of an audit throughout the year. We do a financial statement audit for the district, a state compliance audit in accordance with the California State Audit Guide, and then we do a federal compliance audit in compliance with the hopefully 2025-26 compliance supplement from the federal government. All right, so we're going to walk you through this document. There are certain things that, as your auditors, we're required to communicate. This is just a letter to you all, appreciating our opportunity to work with the district. We really do value our partnership with you. We really enjoy supporting you through the process of seeing all the improvement. It's been a great experience for us all. All right, so the engagement team for this year, I will be the signing audit partner who will sign and take responsibility for your final reports. The technical advisory partners, so at Crow, we have a quality control partner review. We always ensure that a secondary partner reviews our reports and deliverables before they go out. So Mr. Jensen will be our advisory partner. That also ensures that we want to make sure that our clients have an avenue to not just one partner, but another one just in whatever, if life happens or whatnot, you have another person you can reach out to for advice and input. We have Tori Jockle, who will support on the district side. The district has always asked that we keep a 2 separate managing roles over the district audit versus the bond audit. So Tori Jockle, she's not with us here today, but she has worked with us for the last 5 years with Sweetwater supporting the audit work, and she will continue to do that for the district portion of the audit. And then Mr. Ribley behind me will continue to support the bond portion of the audit. And then Tony Boris is our national office partner, who's our GASB expert. We reach out to him with all technical questions, especially with things that are new coming down the pike. All right. So this gives you a summary of what you can expect at the end of this process, which should be early December. If everything goes as planned, that's the goal. So we will have an annual audit report covering the district's financial statements. We will have the district's compliance with the state audit guide, state compliance, and then we will also have the compliance report for the federal compliance. We also have, off to the right, you see SAS 114 required communications. Those are our auditing standards. There's certain required communications we are needing to bring directly to you, and that will be part of our communication in December as well. In the middle there, you will see the audit of the financial statements for each of your individual bond measures in accordance with Prop 39. So you'll see 3 different reports for that. And then you'll also have the performance audit. So that's where we're looking at the compliance around the expenditure of the bonds, making sure that they are in line with the ballot measures that were passed to support those bonds. And then Sweetwater has always engaged us to do an expanded performance audit. And so those reports will also include the conclusions and of those procedures. So that's what's to expect. All right, and to get there, here is our audit timeline. So here today, we are kicking everything off, meeting with the audit committee. Our responsibility is, although we work very closely with your management team, our responsibility is to the audit committee and to the board. You are the ones who hire us. And if you don't hear from us until the very end, that is a good sign. We have no problem going around management and bringing concerns to you if we feel like there's something of concern that we need to talk directly with you. The first set of interims is going to be coming up in April to kind of get us started on all the documentation. You'll notice that this is kind of a year-round process. They got a whole month and a half off, really, from us, and we kick right back off because it is a lot of work, and to do it all in one time frame is just too much. So we really try and spread the love out throughout the different months of the year to try and avoid too much pain. We will be doing site visits in May where we will meet at these various sites. There is a required rotation of sites that is indicated in the state audit guide, and so we make sure that we look at different ones every so many years. I think you have to see each site within every 5 years?
Essentially, it's 20% coverage for each.
20%, yeah. So because of the number of school sites, I think we tend to reach it every 3 years or so. Some of them, like Palomar, gets selected every year because they are your continuation high school, so they get to see us all the time. All right. And then the third interim field work in August, we will continue on our interim work. This is state compliance, federal compliance, internal control testing, and then we start digging into the year-end testing as much as we can. And then we do have kind of a calendared to be determined conversation where I will have an interview with Chair Emerald to talk about any direct concerns from her from that standpoint, because we really want to make sure there's a direct line of communication where we get concerns brought to our attention that need to be addressed, and vice versa. And then the year-end testing will take place in October. We will wrap it up. It usually takes a couple of weeks, and then back and forth, cleaning up the report, and we plan to conduct our final meetings with you all. The CBOC is generally in November, that's what we're anticipating, and then meet with you all early December. All right. Charles, I'll pass it off to you.
Thanks so much. I'll just kind of go over a few more components that we are required to communicate for our audit plan. The next slides here that's in front of you is talking about auditors' responsibilities. So there are sort of two overarching aspects here. So from the general overall financial picture of the district, we follow generally accepted auditing standards. And so really what that's looking at is saying, okay, well, are your financial statements fairly stated in all material respects within the accounting standards? The second component is because Sweetwater Union High School District is a governmental entity, we also follow government auditing standards. So we are required to and plan to perform various tests of compliance in addition to the state audit guide component of requirements and the federal compliance side of things. The next slide here really talks about how do we go about executing those responsibilities. So our audit plan includes looking at gathering an understanding of how the district functions. Now, we've been your auditor in the past few years, but we have to look at every audit separately. Every audit has to be sort of a standalone process, so we reestablish our understanding of internal controls. The main internal controls that we look at are what are those internal controls that you have in place that allow you to produce financial statements? What are the controls that you have in place that allow you to demonstrate compliance with the requirements of the state ed code and with federal compliance requirements? We gather that understanding of those internal controls, and we understand that you have many different components of controls. Again, we're focusing only on those that are posing an area of focus for our audit. And we look to, in some cases, test those controls to make sure that those are operating effectively. In some years past, we've had to forego tests of controls over payroll. We had done a detailed test of payroll, or a substantive test, they would call it. And this last couple of years now, last year starting, we're able to rely on your control process and therefore balance our substantive testing over payroll. And that helps balance the staff's needs as well to provide us information. So we understand the control process. That helps us develop how our timing, the extent of our auditing procedures, how that needs to be executed. In doing this whole audit process, we also consider the concept of materiality. As noted on the slide here, this materiality concept is the aggregate limit of misstatements that can be included or detected in your financial statements before we're able to give our unmodified opinion. So that level of comfort that we're okay with as an auditor. And we can reassess that throughout the year depending on how things go with the auditing procedures. Speaking of auditing procedures, so this next slide talks about sort of significant areas of the financial statements that are part of our audit. This is not an exhaustive list, but this is sort of the either higher visibility or higher susceptibility to something going wrong. And so therefore there are more procedures to perform over that. The first area is talking about revenue recognition and management override. Those are two overarching risks that every audit has to include in it as a risk, and so we have to address that risk through specific procedures. We also have included here your long-term liabilities. making sure that those calculations, and sometimes those can be a little bit more complex in how to calculate the long-term liability, especially in this circumstance of pension liabilities and your OPEB. There's more subjectivity there, so therefore there's more procedures we perform over it. Also included here is student body activities. So obviously your site level activities, a lot of cash flow that goes on at the site level. So understanding what are the procedures that are in place at the site level, what are some of the controls to make sure that the cash at those sites is under appropriate control. And then my area of focus is the general obligation bonds audits. Again, as Elizabeth mentioned on a previous slide, sort of two major scopes there, the performance audit and the financial statement audit. We also, on the last item, is really understanding if there are any potential litigation against the district, then we have to make sure that there are appropriate accruals for those liabilities, if there are any at year end. The next piece here is talking about independence. As your external auditor, we are required to be independent of you in fact and in appearance. And so this is our assertion to you that we are independent. And there are allowable non-audit services that we can perform for our clients that is considered a risk of non-independence. And so the one that we perform is, or the few that we perform here are noted on this table, which are helping with the preparation of the audit report, the financial statement preparation, compilation of the document, your schedule of expenditures of federal awards, assisting with that, submission of the federal awards reporting to the federal government. That's also a non-audit service. And then if we help with your conversion entries, which is making modifications for your day-to-day accounting is done on a modified accrual basis, right? And so we have certain entries to convert that to full accrual reporting. Our assistance with that is also considered a non-audit service. So we have safeguards in place, which includes management review of the financial statement, management review of those outcomes of those procedures that help mitigate that risk. And so we have determined that we are still independent even after considering performing these additional non-audit services. The other communications that we have on this slide really talks about, highlighting new accounting policies and other changes and practices that might be happening during the year, and including estimates that are included in the financial statements. We will communicate to you our understanding of how management went about implementing a new standard, and if there was any impact to the financial statements from those new standards. If we become aware of any unusual transactions throughout the year, we'll highlight that in our year-end communications as well. And then we will also be making separate communications on sort of we'll call it a one-on-one basis in the August timeframe with the audit committee chair, just to make sure that we have addressed other inquiries of you all, making sure we have your input on the audit process as we lead into the fall audit. Two things to highlight here. This is new accounting standards. So the GASB, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, likes to keep us government auditors on our toes. So every year or so, they come out with a new standard for us to consider the applicability. A lot of the intent of new accounting standards at this point is consistency in reporting. They're trying to make governments throughout the country consistent in how they present something in the financial statements. I would say that these two that are presented here is right in that avenue: consistency in reporting, clarity in reporting. There's a new potential financial reporting model. The biggest impact to Sweetwater is probably going to be some updates to how the MD&A section shows up in your audit report. The MD&A is short for Management's Discussion and Analysis, if you're not already familiar. And so, that might just look a little bit different, or perhaps, hopefully, more concise than under this new standard. The other new standard, GASB 104, talks about capital assets and some disclosure requirements. So basically trying to be more clear between all governments across the country and how capital assets are disclosed. All real exciting stuff for us accountants and auditors. This slide here is kind of more granularly relevant to K-12 school districts in California. This is the state audit guide, the state compliance piece that is changing for this year. Things that are being added or removed for this fiscal year's audit. I encourage you to take a look at it if you want in more detail after this meeting, or if you want light reading or having trouble sleeping, you can look through this piece. Or the full audit guide is really interesting. It's yeah. But there's one new area, all joking aside, there's one new area that we're going to be testing this year. It's called attendance recovery, which I'm sure you've heard about. And so this fiscal 26 year, we'll be working to test compliance with that to make sure that they, in particular, essentially attesting the attendance that's been reported for that attendance recovery. So in what this compliance area relates to, if you're not already familiar, is giving LEAs an opportunity to recover attendance for students that were out and they didn't get independent study, for example. You can get up to 10 days back per student. And so there's an opportunity to gather some significant apportionment district-wide. And so the state has included in the ed code a requirement for us to test that reporting was done correctly. Yeah.
No free lunch.
Yeah, no free lunch. Yeah, exactly. The other under additions and modifications is really just tweaks to existing programs, perhaps an additional procedure, removed procedure, et cetera. It's not significant changes overall, but those are areas that have had changes. Obviously, transitional kindergarten, super easy for you all. And the one that was removed this year was the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant, which makes sense, given the timing of that. Yeah. Now, there's still, not to be confused with the ELOP program, Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, which is still in full force and still under compliance auditing for us.
I just want to let the folks in the audience know that it went away because it expired.
Yes.
One issue. Did it expire statewide or a federal expiration?
That is a state program, and it's gone at the state level for all LEAs, so fair clarification.
Okay.
And I'll let Elizabeth close this out.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, I guess we're at the end, right?
Oh, we're
So-
at the end, so I'm sure there's questions.
Bring
Yeah.
us home, Liz.
Yeah.
Okay.
And questions for us. Yes.
May I? How do you conduct the attendance recovery issue? Are we going back through daily logs at all of our schools? What's
That's a
the
great
process?
question. Charles can answer that because I just asked him the same question because this is a new area, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So the actual functionality of our testing will be we're trying it out now, right? Because the state puts the audit guide out. Us as Crow, we're members of the audit guide task force to help sort of put all the specific procedures together that will end up in the audit guide. At a short summarized level, we're going to get a list of all the attendance that was reported under attendance recovery, and we're going to take a sample of students where some of that, I'm going to call it AR, where AR was claimed, okay? So we're going to get a sample of those students, and then we're going to get a sample of attendance recovery that was claimed for that sample, and recalculate and get supporting documentation. One of the big things was this attendance recovery tracked separately from your regular attendance, right? So can we carve out attendance recovery days separate from your regular attendance? So we would test to make sure that that's been able to be separately tracked in your systems.
Did you have a question?
I just wanted to add, generally attendance recovery happens on Saturdays or Saturday school, for example. So when students are out, they have an opportunity to recover that attendance, and we usually provide that opportunity during Saturday schools. Generally, when that's offered, it could be offered in other ways as well, like independent studies or whatnot. But generally speaking, what we use mostly as a tool for attendance recovery is through Saturday school. And Dr. Sokol, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I think you've covered it, and then we work with them on a semester basis where the schools remit to us that information and work with IT, because the school site staff is inputting that recovery into Infinite Campus, which is our student system for attendance. And so I'm assuming that's where you'll probably be looking a lot of that information. So we'll be working probably very closely with our IT department.
Gotcha. And attendance, of course, very important because that's how we bring money in per student who is sitting at the desk each day, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I would be interested in how this recovery program works, though. Are you working with the numbers that have come in from the school district? How do
Yeah.
you pull that together?
So it'll be based on what's been reported by the district to the state already, so data in arrears effectively. We're going back to say that, to test whether those amounts that were reported to the state were correct. So we would be gathering, again, as Dr. Salkod mentioned, data from your SIS, your Student Information System, for attendance recovery, and then validating the mathematical accuracy of that and the underlying support.
And if there's any difference between the numbers
Oh,
from
correct.
us
And
and the
then
state?
we would have to evaluate if there were differences. And if there were differences, that could be an audit finding. It depends on, the nature of that difference. And to some degree, I like to use the term, the state audit guide is binary, right? Meaning that it's either is compliant or it is not compliant. So if in cases where that math didn't agree, it could be a non-compliance issue, and we just take that down the path that the audit guide has led us to follow.
And again, this is another federal requirement hoisted upon our schools.
This is state of California.
Oh, excuse me, the state hoisting upon our schools, and why? What's at stake with continuing to bore deeper and deeper and deeper like this?
So
And
this
putting
is-
more work on the school districts as well.
This is actually, yeah, I can respect that question. I think part of the challenge here is that they've given an opportunity to get more funding to the districts, and to support more funding, they want to make sure that they've reported that accurately, to seek that funding and have it mathematically be accurate.
Alternatively, if I may, one of the reasons a number of districts are advocating for a change to an enrollment-based system is that attendance would no longer be the main source of the underlying assumption for providing those funds to school districts. But that is very much in the advocacy phase by a number of school districts. I think this, again, going backwards and testing against what we've submitted to the state.
Okay, a work in progress. Go ahead, continue.
Any other questions?
Go ahead.
Thank you. And I aim to make this a quick question, so is it easy to click back to the calendar, those dates that you shared? If that's,
Ceci, our great assistant, will.
my question was kind of two parts. The first being, is that the same calendar for both audits of the district and the bonds?
Correct, yeah. So if you look, Ceci, can you go, yes. We start working on the bond in the third interim field work. So you'll see Propo, Measure DD, Measure RR there, where we actually do physical site visits for those particular projects. We'll actually go out to sites and make sure that what the bond project says is happening is actually happening. So that starts in August. And then the actual expenditure testing gets wrapped up in the October timeframe. But we do have a goal to make sure the bond reports and the district report are all issued at the same time. They're all finalized at the same time.
And you mentioned that no news is good news as far as reporting back to this subcommittee, but are there dates in there when you do share updates with the subcommittee?
Yeah, so Sweetwater has invited us to come out to all of your quarterly audit committee meetings. So you will see us again. Usually there's a summer meeting, and then an October meeting, and then a December meeting. So you will see us again. So if we do have things to share or report at that time, we will share with you. But we don't like to openly discuss ongoing discussions. So if we haven't finalized, we don't want that in a public forum where we're still kind of deciphering through with management, what are the actual findings or concerns. But if there were concerns, our procedure would to reach out to the chair directly.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you so very much, and we'll
welcome.
see you next quarter, huh?
Yeah,
Have a great 3 months.
thank you. Jenny, did you want us to stay for the engagement letters or?
In the agenda item as well, which is complemented by the presentation, we do include the engagement letters, which provides further scope of the different audits for the bonds. We have engagement letters for each bond measure, RR, DD, and Prop O, and then obviously the district-wide. So those items will also be going to the board next Monday. We just take it for the board just to have, we have an agreement with
Yeah, the
Crow.
services agreement,
Service,
yeah.
overall contract agreement, but we do bring the engagement because that is specific to every audit cycle.
Great.
We bring it here and then we bring it to the board.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you
Appreciate
all.
your time
Great to meet you.
and your efforts there. Then let's go to item 3, our financial reports with Dr. Sockeld.
We actually have 2B.
Oh, we do?
There's the other ongoing and completed external audits.
Well, I don't have a 2B, do I?
Should be, yeah, they were 2A and there should be a 2B.
There we go, I see, okay.
C, 2B.
Ongoing and
be or not
completed
to be.
external audits and reports and reviews. Thank you.
So as Ceci has here on the schedule, these are, we, from time to time, get other requests for either reviews, could be programmatic, it could be financial. So as you can see here, with School Food Authority, local procurement review, we've been working very closely with our Director of Nutrition Services, Eric Span. He's leading that effort. He's relied on information from our purchasing department, from our accounting department. My understanding from the last update from him is he's anticipating having an update by March 19th because the reviewers will be actually on site at the school sites, doing, again, continued work. But from the documentation standpoint, it's my understanding that they've reviewed it, and don't have any other further questions. But he will update us. We'll get a final recap, and we will bring it to this committee, and then he'll be available at an upcoming meeting. The next one, I do have an update here as it relates to CalPERS. This was an audit where they wanted some census information on our staff that were members in that review. This was done at the state level. The County Office of Ed did tell us a few weeks ago that that work is complete. So in essence, that's a good thing. So we're moving forward. That's completed there. No additional information is needed from the district. Okay. The next one, as you know, we've been working on this for some time with the IRS on the Form 941. We've had a lot of exchanges back and forth with the IRS rep. And the last exchange, we believe, was the last set of documents that she needed. She indicated that she's now going to be preparing a report to her manager. Again, no timeline. They aren't very specific with that, but we're hoping that we're on the tail end of that work. Again, once we have that documentation, we'll share it with the committee. The next one with the CalSTRS audit, again, similar to the IRS, because they both came up about the same time. We've been working with that auditor on requests for information on employee salaries, employee extra duty time. So again, the last communication we had was actually on Friday with a representative, and we think that we're at the tail end of this one as well. Nothing at this point. Again, if there's any final report, they'll let us know, but they're not very definitive with when we can expect something like that from them. So hopefully within the next few months. Again, we'll bring that to the committee as well. The next one, the behavioral health services through San Diego County. This we get periodically too, because we have a lot of different grants that we get from the county. This is on the behavioral health one. The last update, they had requested invoices because we bill them for services and things like that according to the grant terms, and they're reviewing that information. So again, it's in the back and forth of the document reviews. So no update at this point.
Any idea when that report will be completed?
We ask, but then they just don't, give us an update.
We just wait and be
I
patient.
mean, we're very responsive when they ask that information. We've been working closely with Dr. Moore's staff area because they support that with student services. But at this point, we've provided what they've requested, so we'll await the next step.
Terrific, thank you.
And then we just note on here the external audit, which is what was just presented to the committee. And so we just have this here as a note that it's now pending for the new cycle going forward. Okay. And that's that piece there.
Right.
Now now it's the financial. Yeah, now we're at the three. Now it's the financial reports. This is just to bring the committee up to date. So our first interim, it's one of multiple cycles that we bring to the board. And this was presented in December. The staff is actually, I think it says if you can go to the MYP, because what I'll highlight is just the MYP specifically. That point in time, we have some preliminary numbers, but we're actually now in the next report, which we're going to be bringing forward to the board where we have more information. We have a governor's state proposal for the 26-27 year. We have some updated enrollment numbers, some updated attendance numbers. So this will be refreshed. At the time this was presented to the board in early December, we were also in the process of bargaining with all of our bargaining units. And since then, the board has also taken action in January. So our next reporting cycle next week, which is under second interim, is going to have some updates. That's why I'm having Ceci go to the MYP. One more. There you go. So as you can see here, these are all the puts and takes with the revenues and our projections. And like I said, our expenditures are going to change because of the bargained agreements from last month. And the district does continue to have a structural deficit. Those additional expenditures will add to that. But just to note, the fund balance, it's been our work with the board, is to offset that structural deficit with declining enrollment reserve, while we also put some budget solutions in place to help mitigate that as we move forward. At the interims, which we presented in December, and now the second interim coming up next week, that we bring forward to the board because there's a 3-year window that they're certifying on. They're looking at the financial obligations for this year and then the financial obligations for the 2 subsequent years. That's why we go through 27, 28. At this point, and again, what we're going to be moving forward with is still a positive certification because the district can meet those obligations utilizing those reserves over this 3-year period.
Yeah, and if I can intercede, Dr. Sockeld, I just want to take a moment to highlight the fact that there's multiple things that are going on that are true at the same time. So first and foremost, I'd like to call attention to row number 11, where it says ending balance. So that's where you see that we continue to be able to meet our financial obligations and commitments through the 2027-28 year. However, the row right above that, where it says revenue less expenditures, indicates our, in essence, structural deficit. It's between $56 and $58 million. The line right before, the column before that is, I think, an outlier because of some of the bargaining implications.
The LCAP. So
The
the
LCAP.
current year is skewed because of the LCAP carryover. But these were numbers as of first interim. So yes, with the second interim, they're going to go up a little bit.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of an outlier, but at the end of the day, the structural deficit that we have 2.5 years to tackle is about $56 to $58 million. I think given the strategies we're deploying, we'll be able to curtail that and over time kind of make that smaller. But this is given the information that we have as of today. So again, depending on how the governor's negotiations turn out with the legislature, there's a coalition, and I was part of, we as a district, and I submitted a letter on behalf of the district to advocate for the governor to include $5.6 billion as part of the Prop 98 guarantee to allocate that back to schools. So obviously that would have an impact. That figure is across the state, but that would have an impact for us here locally. And so we continue to monitor that closely and use a plethora of strategies to be able to address that structural deficit. I did want to, again, highlight, because of the reserves, we're able to meet our financial commitments. However, over time, we do have to be consciously making that effort to reduce that structural deficit. And some things are outside of our control. For example, the level of support that we receive from the state and federal governments impact that as well. So we continue to work through that. I've noted that a number of districts are communicating and advocating with our state and federal governments to provide additional funding for items such as special education. Our local contribution, last I recall, Dr. Sacco, was approximately $100 million as our local contribution to special
It's actually a
education.
little bit higher than that. But yeah.
So if you want to look at our overall budget, about $100 million of that goes to supporting special education. So it really is becoming an increasing part of our budget from our local contribution. And so that's why it's so important to continue to advocate with the state and federal governments so that they continue to provide those resources so we can meet the expectations of the services we obviously rely on those state and federal dollars as well. So those are just some examples, but I want to take a moment to highlight the fact that we do have the reserves in place to ensure we're positively certified through the 27-28 fiscal year, but we also have a structural deficit that we need to continue to be mindful and strategic in addressing. So again, just multiple things going on at the same time.
Sure. Mr. Gonzalez, do you have any comments at all?
A bit of a random question, but my eye came to the contributions. Why would the contributions have changed to the tune of $5 million from last fiscal year to this?
It goes back to what Dr. Geary was mentioning. A lot of the contributions, we have it to primarily the special education program. That's our largest. And so when you have increased services or staff costs that are increasing, that year over year, we've been seeing that increase in that area. Yeah, because it's a little over $1 million or $100 million.
A big swing going on just continually. And Mr. Gutowski, any comments or questions from you?
If we could just turn to page 10 or 61, I see you have a dual numbering system. Looking up there for utilities, what you end up having, I see the increases that you end up having. It's very well managed, so kudos to the district. It's only a 2.2% interest and then increase. And then 27-28, it's only a 1.4. So that is very good utility management. The one thing that I'm encouraging the district to look at is doing an energy audit. It does not require any infrastructure. It does not require any hardware. There's consultants that will work on a pro rata share. All they do is they look at your fee that you're getting charged from SDG&E, and it's just a change of paper. And we've, saved in the 6 digits just overnight with it. So, if you need a suggestion, I can for a consultant that we ended up using, but we didn't have to pay a dime. They just get paid out of what the money they end up saving.
So if I may, Chairman,
You betcha.
I think that's a great suggestion, particularly in light of what we've observed in energy markets today, the day after this weekend and the international events that we've seen. I believe there's a pretty significant swing in the cost of utilities and energy in particular. So it's something that we continue to be mindful of, especially because we do operate a fleet of transportation vehicles, our yellow buses that transport students, as well as our fleet of maintenance vehicles. So I think it's timely for us to do something along those lines of a utilities and a broader kind of energy study. So I'll share with our Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations.
Do we want to actually formalize this as a motion to do this audit that you're discussing?
I motion that the
moved.
Sweetwater Union High School District performs an utility audit and an energy audit to bring about better efficiencies for the district.
Great. And do we have a second?
I'm interested, I will second for the point of discussion, but I'd have a question just on the appropriateness. Does it need to be agendized separately, or is this appropriately enough for the agenda that we can go ahead and move it forward?
Yeah.
Because I'm happy to support it, but it might need to come back next time and then actually move forward with the audit. But I do like the idea. I'd even encourage the opportunity to partner more with SD Community Power as well as SDG&E. So if my recommendation would be to rephrase it, to bring it back for next agenda.
Okay, that sounds really good. Is that okay with you, Dan?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
all righty. So the motion then is to bring it back to our next meeting for further discussion and maybe have some ideas on how to plan it. Okay?
And in the interim, we can still have the discussion with our maintenance department around how that could potentially look at.
Absolutely. I think it's a tremendous idea. Thank you.
Cool.
So on now to our next item. Dr. Sockeld?
I think that's internal audit, so we have Mr. Robert Hughes here that will be reviewing the fraud hotline report.
Okay, terrific. Mr. Hughes?
Hi, good evening. As you're all aware, the Compliance Office is charged with monitoring and responding to our third-party anonymous reporting system for potential fraud in our district. Those cases that have been submitted since our last meeting, but we also keep a running total on this document, and we also do updates on this document as we move through the response to any new reporting to the fraud hotline. So since our last meeting, we've had 2 additional reportings to the fraud hotline. The first of which was withdrawn by the complainant after they realized that the phone call that they received from the district was in fact real and was not someone trying to get money out of them. So they withdrew that and actually issued an apology to the person that they thought was not a real person. The second complaint is still pending. We got it recently. And it's a little different. It's an anonymous reporting that a staff member at Chula Vista High School may be working 2 jobs simultaneously, but the person does not know their name. They just provided a description of their vehicle and their gender. So the Chula Vista High School principal is kind of looking into that. So it is still pending at this point. Everything else on this list has been closed out. There's been no findings of fraud within any of these reportings to the district. And as we discussed last time, a lot of these have to do with interpersonal relationships between employees that are using the fraud hotline as a place to report out what's happening.
Are these bogus complaints? Are they coming in often enough or with a volume that might require or suggest some kind of extra education to people about what fraud is?
Yeah, I think it would behoove us to make sure that we have a good understanding and explanation of that this is money-related fraud. And I think within our district, our office potentially would send out some direction to employees of what the complaint systems are for employees, because it seems to be a place that folks like the fact that it's anonymous. So the anonymity of the process allows them to say things that they may not typically say. But ultimately, it goes right back to their supervisor, which is the logical place for them to start their process.
All right.
I'd also like to kind of add on to what Mr. Hughes said. We have a plethora of ways to receive complaints. A lot of times I think this is attractive for the reasons that Mr. Hughes has indicated, but I want to make sure everybody is assured, both here and whoever's watching, that there are many ways to file different types of complaints. A lot of these end up being complaints against employees or different types of complaints, and we have a number of ways through which people can report these. So I think there's many ways for those complaints to be received.
Okay, all right. Right. So are we moving on then to our calendar of meetings?
I believe we are. All right, Dr. Sokol, if you could, I believe earlier somebody referenced the number of meetings that occur, so ask and you shall receive, Dr. Sokol.
There you go. Yes. So we bring this to this meeting every year just to kind of provide the roadmap ahead. And yes, since as our auditors had shared, they will be at each of these meetings, providing an update on our 25-26 audit. But just gives you a general framework of the items that we will bring forward over the course of the next few sessions. Okay.
So I'll just mention those for those who may not, who may be watching. So the next meeting will be July 27th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom. After that, the following meeting will be October 5th. Followed by, at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom, followed by December 7th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom. And you even have one for next year.
And that one's tentative, subject to the board action, but again, typically in March, yeah.
Correct. All right, thank you, Dr. Sokol.
Good planning, there we go. Online fundraising, requests for qualifications, RFQs on online fundraising.
So this one we're just bringing forward to the committee because through our ASBs, we work very closely. We took a few years ago an online platform. We have 3 firms that we work with where the schools do, again, fundraising, like SnapRaise is one that uses a portal to collect and receive monies and things like that. So we're at that term now that we need to go out and solicit again. Certainly the incumbents can resubmit. So we're in the process now working through purchasing and then with our legal department to get that out because we'd like to take that forward with an award or recommendation to the board before June, so that we can communicate with the school ASBs in July of the new platforms going forward, and if they have to make any transitions ahead of that. And each school utilizes whichever platform that it gives them an array. It's a pool of vendors, like I said, the 3, and they utilize those going forward, but we have our contract term.
Oh, that's
Just one.
great. And we follow up with each of these contractors to make sure that the money's right.
Yes, and we haven't heard anything from the school sites that they're collecting, processing things according to what they have set up in their school ASBs.
Terrific, that's good. Item 7, the timeline of district deadlines.
So again, we bring to this meeting just to give the committee, again, also a roadmap. As you can see, quite a few items that we then also bring forward, either here or also to the board. So it's all of various reporting cycles. So as I mentioned, next week we'll do the second interim, which gives us data on our current budget cycle through January. And then we will bring forward to the board the budget. We look at a snapshot of where we anticipate the end of this fiscal year to be, and then we bring the budget for next year, and then we will start the next reporting cycle. So various points in time and snapshots of the financial information. As Dr. Geary mentioned, the best information we have at that time. But we do bring some of that here to the committee as well, so that way it's tied together. So again, just a roadmap ahead.
Any questions or comments from the board? All right, very good. So we've got our calendar for these deadlines. Terrific, that's good to know.
And you can see the respective ed codes, right? Because a lot of our work is all driven by ed code and statutory requirements.
Right, and you don't just pick these dates out of the air and put them on a calendar. I
Created
got
our
you.
framework for us.
And are these hard and fast deadlines? Yeah, so.
They're all most of these majority of them are statutory.
Gotcha.
So such as like our interims, like we have to bring it forward by March 15th, but 15th falls on a weekend, so it's the 16th this month.
Very good, okay. On to our next item. And that's the calendar for,
It should be the minutes.
For the December 1st, 2025 meeting.
oh, terrific, okay. We are going to take a look at the minutes for the December meeting coming up. December 1.
Yeah, because I think it's just the committee to review and approve these, so we can bring them to the board meeting.
Excellent, that's great, okay. And down to, again, requesting if there are any comments from our committee members.
I have a question, a point of order. If I reviewed the minutes, but I was not in attendance, should I be abstaining or can I vote in support?
You can vote in support, as long as, again, there's no corrections that are pointed by the other members who were present.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And we'll go ahead, Mr. Gutowski? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mr. Aguirre, do you vote as well?
I do not.
Okay, but I do, so yes, and that vote is unanimous. Terrific.
And again, for clarification, this vote is to recommend to the full board, and that's why it's not an issue,
Right.
because the full board adopts.
And we come now to the final item on our agenda, comments from our committee members. Anybody have some comments? How was your first meeting here, Mr. Gonzalez?
I should comment that it was surprisingly pleasant, not painful at all. I know it was much briefer and to the point. The backup material was scary, but the presentation and the debate was really good, and I look forward to diving even deeper into the materials and being as helpful as I can.
Terrific. Thank you so very much, and welcome to the committee. It's terrific to have you. You're okay, Mr.
I need to let
Gutowski?
Alonzo know, just wait until the backup material's 300 pages.
Yeah, exactly. Then it goes from scary to terrifying, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I welcome our new committee member, and
Yes.
I think he'll be a great asset to this group.
I agree. And Dr. Aguirre, you want to send us out with any comments?
I just want to again say thank you to everybody. There's been a lot of work that has happened over the years to get us to this place. It does not happen by accident. These meetings have all the backup material for full transparency, that the questions are straightforward, and that welcome recommendations are made. So really looking forward to another great year in 2026.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. With that, this meeting is adjourned.